Now it should work. Yes, it should. Okay. So, sannyasa is like that. Okay. Each other's prarabdha helps. At the end of it, anyway, at the end of your life, sannyasa is supposed to be the best retirement plan ever. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Then, remember, Krishna is on the strip of Satvik, Rajasic, Tamasic. So, Tyaga also is putting like that. Okay, yeah. All right, he says, Nishchayam shunu me tatra tyago bharata sattamaha tyago hi purusha vyagraha trividaha samprakirtitaha. Nishchayam shunu me, from me, listen to it definitely. Okay? What? Tyago bharata sattamaha, best among the Bharatas, listen to this. Tyago hi purusha vyagraha. Tyaga, a tiger among men. Tyaga trivida samprakirtitaha. Tyaga is also looked upon in a threefold manner as sattva, rajas, tamas. In the context of sattva, rajas, tamas, Tyaga is also looked upon like that. Okay, now what is that? Okay, before that he says, adds one more verse. Yajna dana tapa karma na tyajyam karyame vatad yajna dana tapaschaiva pavanani manishinaha. Yajna dana tapa karma. Now he is giving an advice. Krishna is giving an advice here. Okay, yajna dana tapa karma na tyajyam. Don't give it up. Even if you have taken sannyasa, etc., keep some worship going. Share what you have with others who don't have. Tapas, whatever growth activity you need, do that. Now, getting married and having a child is also growth activity. But before you take sannyasa, you have taken care of all that. Okay? You have taken care of all that. Like one of my students wanted to become full-time. It's a lady. Now, I know most ladies have a need to become a mother. I'm not saying all ladies, most ladies have that. Okay? I mean, it's a biological push that nature has given you. You know, for the sheer propagation of the species, you need that. Therefore, I asked her, have you never felt the need to be a mother? She said, Swamiji, I worked with so many children. I don't feel the need to have children of my own. I said, very good. If you don't feel the need to have kids of your own, then you are ready for it. Yeah. So, now that working with children took care of their growth. Therefore, after studying, she didn't have to go back to those type of activities. But other things like japa, dhyanam, etc., worship, those things were done. Therefore, yajna dana tapaf karma na tyajyam karyamevata. Do that. Yajna dana tapaschaiva pavanani. This will help you grow. Therefore, keep those things going. Okay. Then what? Okay, so yajna dana tapa karma. How will I do it here? Etyani api tu karmani sangam tyaktva phalani cha kartavyani iti me partha nishchitam matamuttamam. Etani api tu karmani. These karmas also. What is that? Yajna dana tapa karma. Sangam tyaktva. Don't get caught up in it. Don't get attached to it. Arey, I have to do this. Aaj nahi kiya, kya ho jayega? Today you are not well, you didn't do it, nahi hai, bas ho gaya. Okay. Yeah, you couldn't do. You are not well enough to do some things. You didn't do. It's okay. Or you got caught up in so many other things that day you couldn't do. It's all right, let it be. Sangam Tyaktva Falani cha. You are not bothered about the result. Result will take care of itself. You do. How are you going to measure your growth anyway? Yeah. Keep it. Yeah. Okay. Kartavyani me partha. Kartavyani. These are given to me, it should be done. That's it. That's it. Finished. Do it. Okay. Nishchitam matam uttamam. This is the best way of doing these karmas. Okay. This is the best way of doing that. All right. Fair enough. Therefore, two things here in these two verses. What he had said previously as yajna dana tapaha na tyajyam. That is one. And how are you supposed to do it? That is a second one. You do it with an attitude of asangatvam, etc. Karma Yoga Buddhi in short. Yeah. It is not that only a Karma Yogi has Karma Yoga Buddhi and Sannyasi doesn't have that. Karma Yogi does actions and has Karma Yoga Buddhi of acceptance, etc. A Sannyasi without doing actions has the same Buddhi. Why? Agate savagatam kuryat. Gachantam na nivarayet. What comes you welcome it. What goes, don't do. Prarabdhaya arpitam swavapuhu. You offered your body to prarabdha. Abhi kya hota hai hone do. Okay. All right. Then he is talking about now tyaga. Satvik, Rajasik, Tamasic tyaga. Okay. Niyatastu sannyasah karmanaha na upapadyate moha tasya parityagaha tamasah parikirtitaha. Here sannyasa, the word sannyasa in this verse should not be taken as literal sannyasa, it should be taken as giving up. Okay. Like how the word is used colloquially in common language, how it is used. Give up, not give up, etc. like that. Therefore, niyatastu sannyasa, nitya karmaha. What you are supposed to do on a regular basis. Both sacred and worldly. Vaidikam, avaidikam va. You have to go and earn a living. Nitya karma, no? Okay. Or your Sandhya Vandanam, etc., Gayatri Japa, etc., Nitya karma. Okay, niyatasya sannyasa. Karmanaha na upapadyate. That giving up, na upapadyate, is not proper. Okay. Then, moha tasya parityagaha. By some delusion. If out of some delusion, no, I am being spiritual, none of this. My Guru ne bola hai, God and you are one and the same. Therefore, how can God worship God? I will not do it. Moha, not understanding what is the teaching about. Moha tasya parityagaha tamasaha parikirtita. This is called tamasic tyaga. You are giving up something out of some delusory thinking. I don't need it for my growth anymore. How do you know? It's always funny, the growth is such a funny thing. How do you know for sure when it is right to do something or stop something? That's why it is not an arbitrary decision by you or your Guru. It's always a discussed decision. You sit down and discuss it out. Okay, it's always like that. Okay. Then, so tamasa he has done, out of some delusory thinking you are giving it up. What about Rajasik tyaga here? Dukhamityevam yat karma karya klesha bhayat tyaje sa kritva rajasam tyaga naiva tyaga phalam labet. Dukhamityevam yat karma, that karma that you are giving up, saying, say headache yaar, mere ko nahi karne ka. You know the boss I have to work with, my God, it's such a pain. Dukhamityevam. Or kaya klesha bhayat. I have to commute long and all, no, I don't want to do it. I'll work from home. Arey, things are returning to normal. Most companies are following a hybrid model. No, I don't want to. इतना झंझट कौन करने वाला है? Now, if you really want to change your job, etc., that's entirely a different picture, okay? But just because of one point there, okay? Either because dukkham ityevam or because of the trouble involved in it. You stop, you give it up. अभी मैं घर में बैठना वाला हूँ. You know, this is called Rajasam Tyagaha. Naivat Tyaga Phalam Labit. You are not going to get any result of growth, etc., that you are expecting from that type of Tyaga. It is like this, you know. There was this character Ramaswamy. This Ramaswamy, he had a fight with his wife. Okay, if there is any Ramaswamy around, this is not about you, okay? So Ramaswamy had a fight with his wife and he walked out in a huff. Then he was walking around the town. He's cooled down a bit, but he's not in the mood to go back. But he's got fed up of walking around also. Then he sees a Maharaj sitting on the temple. Mast Ram hoke baitha hai. So he goes, Maharaj, I have a small problem. Can I talk to you? But boliye. This is what happened. I had a fight with my wife, etc. And I walked out of home. Now what should I do? Maharaj looked up. Arey, if I knew the answer for it, do you think I will be like this? Okay. ऐसा भी होता है. न त्याग फलम लभेत. Therefore we say for sannyasa, you know, nashta bharya, nashta rajyam. These are not because of which you take sannyasa. Your wife ran away with your best friend. You know, you lost your job and your money, etc. Those are not the motivations for sannyasa. Bhi kya karu? Main sannyasa le lega. No. Okay. All right. Therefore, this is Rajasic Tyagaha. Then what will be Sattvika Tyaga? When you have grown out of it, it doesn't have a purpose anymore in your life and you let go of it. Isn't that would be Sattvika then? But Krishna gives it a twist. Very beautiful twist. Okay? And look at what he is saying here. Karyamityeva yat karmaha niyatam kriyate arjuna sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva satyagaha satviko mataha. ये उल्टा बोल रहा है. ये सब उल्टा बोल रहा है. Why? He says कार्यमित्येव यत् कर्मः. What has to be done? Niyatam kriyate Arjuna. He does it regularly, with a regularity he is doing it. How? Sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva. Meaning with karma yoga buddhi he is doing it. Sangam tyaktva phalam chaiva. With karma yoga buddhi. Satyagaha satviko mataha. Therefore he is calling karma yoga as sattvika tyagaha. Very interesting. He should have been calling giving up a sattvika tyaga. No? Growing out of an issue should be called sattvika tyaga. But what will help you grow out? If you have a need within you and you have to grow out of that, what exactly will help you? Going after it with karma yoga buddhi. So he is presenting the means of growth as sattvika tyaga. We all know growing out is sattvika tyaga. But how do you grow out? So the means, a lifestyle of karma yoga, is presented as sattvika tyaga. Why tyaga? Because whether you get the result or you don't get the result, you have a sense of acceptance. Therefore, it is as good as giving up the result. You are not given up the result, but it's as good as that. As good as that. Therefore, a lifestyle of a karma yogi is tyaga. Tyaga leads to sannyasa. It is like saying, should I join a college or get a BSc degree? How do you get a BSc degree without joining a college? Okay, online universities are there, but there also you have to join, no? Now, there may be other ways of getting it. Na jnana phalam labet. There you won't get any jnanam, that way of getting a certificate. ऐसा बोलना पड़ता है आजकल, because there are ways of doing it. That type of getting a degree, it won't. That is called tamasam. It would help you. Therefore, the means for growing out of your desires, your emotional entanglements, your holding on to things which is not healthy, which may be nice, but you need to grow out of it. That is called the lifestyle of Karma Yoga. Karma Yoga is the one thing that really leads to your growth. If there is one sadhana in Vedanta, that is Karma Yoga. Really, you can do a lot of other sadhanas also, nobody is saying no to that. But the one sadhana, consistently, which Krishna has presented right from the second chapter to now, is Karma Yoga. Right? It leads to your growth. There is no question of not having time for it. There is no question of being too busy for it. You do all that you have been doing. Prasada buddhi, Ishvara arpana buddhi. Once you are doing it with like that, what are you saying? There is no time. Time to both hai. You have all the time in the world. Why? Because you are not doing something special, no? Something different. You are only doing it with a different attitude. Only doing it with a different attitude. Therefore, the whole thing works beautifully. Therefore, really speaking, Karma Yoga, a Karma Yogi is a Tyagi. And in time you can decide whether you need sannyasa or not. Because you get the mind necessary for a sannyasi. Remember that marble sannyasi. It doesn't matter anymore whether you do or you don't do. Whether you do or you don't do, it doesn't matter to you anymore. Yeah. You're fine. Because you already grown out of it. What does it matter if it is there or not there? Yeah. So, in really speaking, if you are looking at sannyasa, it's a high degree of prioritization, where you are chopping off other roles in your life. Most roles you are chopped off, so that there is nothing to disturb you from this pursuit. There is no demands. So, this pursuit, that's all that is there. Yeah. Pursuit of moksha, that's it. You are cutting off everything else. You don't need that. Been there, done that, you have grown out of it. It has got nothing more to give you. It's like that child giving this whole collection of marbles to his cousin. Why? No more interest. Yeah. Yeah, enough. बस हो गया. It is that growth that comes. There may be other things you need to grow out of. That's a different thing. As a 16, 18-year-old, oh my God, there's so many things to grow out of. You all know, if you remember what you all were at 16, 18, etc., certain things you have grown out of also. Certain things you got entangled in also. That's fine. That's part of the growing out. Yeah. That's part of the growing up. Yeah. So, consistently, he emphasizes on Karma Yoga. And that's the right thing. Because without doing anything special, you're growing. Now you can add other sadhanas if you want, like japa, chanting, the worship. But your whole life is a worship. If you're a Karma Yogi, your whole life is a worship. How come your life is not a worship? Ishwararpanam prasada buddhi with every action. Whole life is worship. It is not work is worship. Your whole life is an aradhana to the Lord. Therefore, to be a true Karma Yogi like that, it calls for something out of you. It's purely cognitive, nothing else. It's a change of attitude that happens. You don't have to hold your nose, this, that, etc. and do pranayamas. You don't have to go without food and saying, oh, I'm fasting. Some people are celebrating Ekadashi today, some are celebrating tomorrow. So whatever. Because many are celebrating tomorrow, we said tea and snacks will be all fast food. We are following the Maharashtrian style tomorrow. Okay. Yeah. So, that's where the whole thing is. Yeah. You don't have to do anything special. If you want to diet, diet. If you don't want to diet, don't diet. If you want to fast, fast. If you don't want to fast, don't fast. Karma Yoga Buddhi. In certain things, we have culturally introduced it. Like before you eat, what do you say? Brahmarpanam, Brahmavihi, Brahmarpno, Brahmanavatam, Brahmevatena Gantavyam, Brahma Karma Samadhina. You will say that. Put that water around and then start eating. Then also you will do Pranaya Swaha, Panaya Swaha, Brahmane Swaha, Pancha Pranas and Brahman, Ishvara. Only then you will start eating. Now that's Karma Yoga Buddhi coming in right there. Certain things you are culturally added. Many things you are not. Leave it. Whole life is involved. Yeah. Where are you not being a Karma Yogi? Yeah. Therefore, the Karma Yogi who becomes a husband or a wife is a Karma Yogi who becomes a parent, is a Karma Yogi who becomes an employee, the Karma Yogi becomes an employer, is a Karma Yogi becomes the boss. It's all Karma Yoga, all the way Karma Yoga. Yeah. Yeah. That way things will work out fine. Yeah. Everything will work out fine. Prasada buddhi na acceptance. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanihi yasya upajayate. All dukkhas are destroyed with prasada buddhi. Why? What is the dukkha? You are resisting something. You are resisting something. Yeah. Yeah. If you are resisting, there is dukkha. Isn't it? There is friction created. Heat is generated because of resistance. You are not resisting. I mean, people make a big thing today, nowadays. Oh, you have to learn to go with the flow. Management, everyone talks. You are spiritual beings, you should learn to go with the flow. How do you go with the flow? Tell me. I'll give you a click on a button, drop you into the Ganga. Let me see you going with the flow. You will reach Calcutta without any ticket. Yeah. What do you mean going with the flow? A sense of acceptance, etc. Yeah. Living in harmony with Ishvara's order. That's what Karma Yoga is about. That's what Karma Yoga is about. So a practical way is given. Yeah. The more you understand the Ishvara's order, the more in harmony you are. Yeah, because you understand Ishvara's order. Things are going in sixes and sevens. Meant to be, let it go. Let it go, let it go, let it go. Yeah, sixes, हो जाएगा, मजाक करो. Enjoy the game. समझो, world global recession. हाँ, होएगा. Acceptance. There's a global recession, acceptance. Yeah. That's the whole thing. What can you do about it as an individual anyway, tell me? You know, this Ukraine war, that's what's creating. Correct. Ukraine war is contributing to the rise of oil prices, everything. Correct. Though India is getting cheaper oil. Huh? That should stop. Correct. So who is going to go and tell Putin to stop? Who's the other character who's heading Ukraine? Forget his name. Zelensky, yeah. So who is going to tell that guy? Hey, make some compromise karke. Who is going to tell him? Who is going to make him do it? Our arms are being sold. Encourage the character to fight more. If that happens, Ukraine will be destroyed in the process. Don't worry, after that we will help build it up. So, other things you will sell them. Until Ukraine will become like Sri Lanka now. So now you are all worked up with the whole thing. No?
No, I think that Zelensky has been made a scapegoat.
He is, of course, he is being made a scapegoat. Other powers are at work. Yeah. Anyway, now that we are all so worked up, how do you deal with it? Accept this is the way of the world. ये कली की प्रभाव है, ऐसे हो जाएगा. Acceptance. Sense of acceptance first. Then if you are in a position to be able to do something about it, do something. I don't think any one of us here is in a position to do something about that. Unless I want to bluff you all. No, I am going to UK. So in between I have 2-3 days free, let me see what I can do. That will be called Dambitvam. I am doing a Dambi, presenting a false front. I am going to be chilling out and meeting all my students in UK and my friends in UK and everything. And enjoying the yoga festival. But you have a couple of classes every day. Yeah, that's enjoyment. How come that is not enjoyment? For me, that's fun. Yeah. So you can laugh like that. And when you come back and people ask, what do you say? They were not open to our suggestions, what to do. Now the world has to see. Bluff, oh bluff. Okay. None of us are in a position to do much about it. Yeah. Therefore, let it play it out. That thing has to play out. Yeah. It has to play out until both feel that if you want to get out of it. The moment both feel they want to get out of it, some solutions will emerge. Right now, both of them don't feel like that. Yeah. Anyway, that apart. So now this is the whole thing idea. Therefore, Karma Yoga is about acceptance. Accept the fact. Accept the fact that you cannot do anything about it. And focus on what you can do in your life. What is it that there's 101 things you can do about making your life better. About understanding things better. Focus on that. Then you'll be less stressed out. Otherwise, global events were stressing me out. As though you're carrying the whole world on your shoulders.
Maharaj?
Yeah.
So sometimes I find it difficult to judge whether I have to accept the situation or do something about it. So how to find out whether I have to accept it or...
Good question. Even if you want to change something, you have to accept the fact first. Without acceptance, you can't change anything. Therefore, accept first, then see whether you can change it or not. Because without acceptance, when you are trying to change, you are only reacting to the situation. Yeah. There are a lot of things happening in the country, which is not healthy at all. Yeah. I mean, we are also upset with some Supreme Court pronouncement. They didn't make it part of the judgment. He is blaming that victim of death threats for being responsible for what's happening in the country. Yeah, what is happening for the last 500 years also, she is responsible. Come on, give me a break. Yeah. So
So
accept
let's say
fact. This is it. So we have an idiotic judge there. It's okay. Part of the game. So sign a petition, apply for a judicial review, etc., 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 expunging some remarks. Those things can be done. If you feel strongly about it, yeah, start a petition, send it to the Chief Justice. If you feel that strongly. Some people are doing it. I know some people who are doing it, including some Supreme Court lawyers, etc. So good, it'll work out well. Two ways. One, you work within the system to change it. One, you work from outside to change it. Both ways it can work. But accept the fact that this is it. If you don't accept facts, realities, you will not be able to change it. Yeah, so that is important. So keep that in mind. Accept first. Even what you want to change, you have to accept.
So I was talking more about interpersonal,
Yeah.
I'm not talking about anything which is at a very big scale.
Yeah.
But rather
Same thing. There are certain things about my partner in life which upset me. Accept that first. Accept that she is like this. She will do certain things like that. Then what is it we can discuss and change?
Okay.
It's only after acceptance that change can be initiated. Yeah.
Right.
And you may find that she has a big list for you to change also. So generally when couples come to me, I get them to make lists. What you like about your partner? What do you want to change about them? Yeah, 2 lists. Very interesting sometimes to see. Yeah, very interesting. What happens?
Swamiji, there's a saying in Alcoholics Anonymous,
Yeah. That acceptance part of it. Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Yeah, it's important anywhere. There it's about helplessness. You accept your helplessness with regards to alcohol. You accept the fact you don't have control over your drinking. Because that's important if you are an alcoholic. Because an alcoholic does not have control over his drinking. You have to understand that. If you cannot stop doing what you are doing, at least for a couple of days, you are addicted to it. It is not whether you are overdoing or underdoing it. If you can't give it up for a few days, you are addicted to it. It may be something like going to the gym, which is healthy. But I know a guy who fainted in the gym. Then it turned out he is working out 7 days a week, 2 hours every day. So I knew the manager of the gym. He asked me, Swamiji, jara inse baat kijiye na. So he told me this. I said, what are you trying to do? Get a heart attack by the time you are 35? Yeah. He said, no, Swamiji, I want to be strong, this thing. But have you become stronger? I'm 30 years older than you. I'll bench press more than you do. I'll bench press 150 pounds. Will you do that? No, about 120 I can do. I said, but you are working 2 hours, 7 days a week. I do once in a way. How come I'm stronger? Are you getting the idea? So, it's an addiction for him. It's an addiction because you can't stop, you can't give it up. He thinks, oh, this is important. Yeah. So that's where the whole thing comes. Yeah. So focus on that. Accept the fact that in this thing there is a certain amount of helplessness.
Can it be called as obsessive compulsive behavior?
You can give it any name. That doesn't matter. Psychology is allowed to give all fancy names. Keep it simple. I really thought I was addicted to tea, for example, because I enjoy my cup of tea. What is tea time for you? Tea के लिए कुछ time होता है क्या? Any time is tea time. What do you mean? Any time is tea time. I mean, come on. What time do you have your tea? Then I said, okay. These next 10 days I am on a trek, I am not going to carry tea with me. Let me see how I feel. I felt fine. I said, okay. That means I like it, I love it, but it is not an addiction. Yeah. It's not that I replaced it with coffee or something like that. Okay, I just had water. That's it. Not even warm water. Because in the mountains, if you have to have warm water, you have to light a fire for it. Okay, wood fire and heat it up in a pan and then have it. Time waste kaun karega? Nice cold mountain water, you get what else you want. So, anything that you can get addicted to, therefore there is a certain sense of helplessness with respect to that. So, accept that fact and deal with it. Then you can deal with it, it's easy. Once you accept that fact, it's easy to deal with it. Non-acceptance is the issue. That's why that Karma Yoga Buddhi is so much about acceptance. Acceptance frees you to a great extent. Even relationship, accept the other person. No? So there are some rough edges. Yeah, there are some rough edges. So you have some rough edges, she has some rough edges. It's okay. So thoda friction rahega. Good. That means the relationship is still surviving well, If there is some rough edges on your neighbor, do you bother about it? I don't have to interact with him. Except at the most, we meet in the lift and say hello, hello. Or youngsters, what's up? Yeah. That's all you have to relate with. Then you don't bother. Yeah, so that sense of acceptance you bring in, a lot of things changes. Sometimes now the issues may be too much. I can understand that. And the issues too much. Duniya to bahut vistar hai. It's a classical Rishikesh statement. Duniya to bahut vistar hai. World is a wide place. There's enough space for everyone. Put some distance between you. Let there be some space, As the Americans say. Only thing is that's not the first option, that's the last option. That's the last option. When everything else you have tried and not worked out, then for the sake of both of your sanity and the sanity of your children, it's better to put some space. Yeah. Those are exceptional cases. They are not the norm. And Swamiji is becoming very common. It's becoming very common because of lack of acceptance. Yeah. I didn't sign on for this. Hey, nobody signed on for anything, okay? Famous expression people use. I didn't sign on for this. So when you came on earth, you knew you were going to face all this or what? You signed on for all this. You didn't know a thing of what's going to happen to you. Because life is what happens when you are planning other things. Life is what happens when you are planning other things anyway, isn't it? So you can't say, I didn't sign on for it. Yeah. Nobody held a gun at your head to get into a relationship.
Swamiji?
Yeah?
Yeah, you said earlier that a sannyasi, when grows out of his own tyaga, and he then lives his life on prarabdha.
Yeah. See, his prarabdha will be there, but if he has grown out of life, then you can take the robes on. You are cutting off roles. What is taking the robes? You are cutting off all other roles so that you can spend all your time and effort in moksha.
Okay, so the sannyasi accepts the fact, but he doesn't try to change anything, right?
He doesn't?
But as you said, accept the fact first and then do
what is necessary. Yes.
Do what you want to change.
What is necessary? Yeah. What the situation demands. It requires some maturity to recognize that. What is it that the situation demands? Okay. Yeah. So you have to cultivate a lot of objectivity for that. For objectivity, yeah.
A sannyasi also does this.
Sannyasi also does that, yeah. Because even though he has cut off many roles, some interaction with the society is always there. No? And if you are a sannyasi working in society, there is a lot of interaction. Like for me, there is a lot of interaction. For someone staying in Rishikesh, there is less. But then Rishikesh also there is a society. No? There is an ashram, there are people, there are interactions, there are students. Therefore, some amount of interaction is there. But the roles that you play is less. The roles that you play is less. So the time available to you is more.
Okay. So there is no attitude of changing. It's like accepting the fact, prasada buddhi, and then do what is necessary.
Do what is necessary, including changing the situation if the situation demands. If the situation is something that you need to change it, change it. Why not? You remember that mountain man Maji? He built a whole road through. Why? He accepted the situation. There is no road connecting up this village with the other side. There is a mountain in the way. People are going around and meeting with accidents. That is a fact. If medical help is not available because there is no road, fact. He accepted all that. Then he said, what can I do? Nobody else will join me. Correct. What can I do? I can make a road. He accepted his own powers. It may take 20 years. That's okay. I'm willing to do that. He did it. Change the situation, no?
Yeah.
But he accepted everything. Look at what all he has accepted. Accepted the situation, accepted the fact others won't support him, accepted his own ability. Everything he accepted. And then he said, I'll work on it. Accepted the fact he'll take him 20 years working as a single person. He accepted that. And he said it is worth it. I'm not saying all of you have to spend time like that. What you decide is worth it for you, do it. No activist will do that. Activists will start having morchas around with the government, in front of government offices to build a road. Another way of going, may work, may not work. Sometimes it's reactive, like what's happening in Sri Lanka right now is reactive. That's not acceptance and action. But the upper society in Sri Lanka were having their head in the sand. I know because 4 months back I was there with them. They're not seeing the signs. They didn't lack the objectivity to see what's happening. If they'd seen it then, something better could have emerged. Not that people didn't point it out. People pointed it out. There were diplomatic staff sitting where I was talking. But they're all in denial. It'll be interesting if I meet them again, what will happen. 4 or 5 months back, they had started something. You wouldn't have to do so much of an issue now. Some things could have been done. Anyway, Kali ki prabhav hai, except that this is the fact of situation, and sometimes you have to go through a difficult time before things become okay. We went through 2 years of difficult time, the pandemic, and now there is a resistance in getting things back to normal. That's why I am having offline Guru Purnima celebrations, offline camp also. Camp is also going to be offline. All that. Why? Time. Get back to normal things. It's only 2 years that you have not been doing it. No? You're talking as a whole lifetime you have not done it. Yeah. Except act. Karma Yoga. Okay. Yeah. That is Satvika Tyaga. That is Satvika Tyaga. Good place to stop. We'll take off from here next Saturday. Okay. Om Tat Sat.